They told the doctor I had dementia. My own nephew stood there in that sterile hospital room, his hand on my shoulder like he cared, and told them I couldn't manage my own affairs anymore. I was lying right there, awake, listening, and nobody asked me a single question. Let me back up. My name is Margaret Chen, but everyone calls me Maggie. I'm 72 years old, and until 3 weeks ago, I thought I knew exactly who I could trust in this world. I was wrong. It started with a car accident. Nothing dramatic, just a fender bender in a Publix parking lot in Sarasota. I'd been living in Florida for 10 years, ever since my husband Robert passed. The sunshine helped, made the loneliness a little easier to bear. Anyway, some kid texting and driving clipped my Honda as I was backing out. My head hit the steering wheel. The airbag deployed. Next thing I knew, I was waking up in Sarasota Memorial Hospital with a concussion and 3 cracked ribs. The nurses said I'd been unconscious for about 6 hours. When I finally came to, groggy and confused, there was David, sitting beside my bed, my nephew, my late sister's only child, the only family I had left in the world. "Aunt Maggie," he said, squeezing my hand. His eyes were red. "Thank God you're okay. You scared me half to death." I tried to smile, but my head was pounding. "David? What are you doing here?" The hospital called me. "I'm your emergency contact, remember?" I did remember. I'd updated my paperwork 2 years ago, after my friend Linda had a stroke and nobody could reach her daughter for 3 days. David had seemed like the logical choice. He lived in Tampa, only an hour away. We weren't particularly close, but he was blood. "My sister, Sarah's boy. How bad is it?" I asked. "Concussion, 3 fractured ribs, some bruising. They want to keep you for observation, maybe a week or 2. 2 weeks? I felt a flutter of anxiety. My apartment. I need to water my plants, get my mail. "Don't worry about any of that." David patted my hand. "I'll take care of everything. You just focus on getting better." I should have seen it then. That eager helpfulness, that too quick reassurance. But my head hurt so badly, and I was so tired, and it felt good to have someone taking care of things. So I closed my eyes and let myself drift back to sleep. I didn't know that would be the last moment of peace I'd have for a very long time. The first few days in the hospital passed in a blur of medication and tests. The neurologist said my concussion was moderate but should heal with rest. The ribs would take 6 to 8 weeks. I was lucky, they said. It could have been so much worse. David visited every day. He brought me magazines, my favorite Earl Grey tea, even my iPad so I could check email. "Thought you might want this," he said, setting it on the bedside table. "Your charger, too." "Thank you, sweetheart." I meant it. He'd always been a bit distant, but this crisis seemed to have brought out a caring side I hadn't seen since he was a boy. On day 5, something strange happened. I tried to check my bank account on the iPad. I like to keep tabs on my finances, a habit from my 40 years as an accountant. But when I logged into Chase, I got an error message. "Account access restricted. Please contact your branch." I frowned. Tried again. Same message. I called the customer service number. After 20 minutes on hold, a representative named Jessica came on the line. "Miss Chen, I see there's been a change to your account. A power of attorney was filed on." She paused. 4 days ago. The authorized representative is listed as David Chen. Is that correct? My stomach dropped. What? No. I never signed any power of attorney. I'm showing the documentation was filed at our South Trail branch. It grants Mr. Chen full authority over your accounts. That's impossible. I've been in the hospital. I haven't signed anything. There was a pause. "Ma'am, I'm going to transfer you to our fraud department." But before she could, a nurse came in to take my vitals, and in the chaos of blood pressure cuffs and temperature checks, the call got disconnected. I tried calling back, but my head was spinning. The room tilted. I lay back against the pillows, my heart racing. Maybe I was confused. Maybe I had signed something and didn't remember. Concussions could do that, right? Make you forget things? But I'd been an accountant. Numbers and documents were my life. I would remember signing over power of attorney. I would never do it, not without my lawyer present. When David came that evening, I tried to keep my voice steady. "David, honey, I got a strange call from the bank today. They said you filed a power of attorney?" His expression didn't change. "Oh, that." "Yes, Aunt Maggie. You asked me to. Don't you remember? Right before they took you in for your CT scan on the second day." "I don't remember that." He smiled gently, the way you'd smile at a child. "That's the concussion talking. The doctor said you might have some memory gaps, but you were very clear. You said you wanted me to be able to pay your bills while you were laid up, make sure nothing got disconnected or went to collections. Had I?" The first 2 days were fuzzy. But no, I wouldn't have done that. I had automatic payments set up for everything. I'd been running my own finances since I was 18 years old. "I'd like to see the document," I said. "Of course. I'll bring a copy tomorrow." He never did. The next day, David called instead of visiting. "Aunt Maggie, I'm so sorry. Something came up at work. I'll come by tomorrow, I promise." But tomorrow came and went. And the day after that. By day 9, I'd only seen him once in 4 days, and each visit was brief. He seemed distracted, nervous, and then Rebecca, one of the night nurses, mentioned something that made my blood run cold. "Your nephew is so devoted," she said while checking my IV. "Visiting every day, taking care of your apartment. I saw him in the parking lot yesterday, loading some furniture into a U-Haul. Said he was moving some of your things to storage so your place would be easier to manage when you got home." Furniture. My furniture. "What kind of furniture?" I asked carefully. I didn't get a close look, but it looked like maybe a dresser? A lamp? My grandmother's antique dresser. The Tiffany lamp Robert and I bought on our honeymoon in New York. "Rebecca," I said slowly, "could you hand me that iPad?" She passed it to me, frowning at my expression. "Are you okay? You look pale." I didn't answer. My fingers were shaking as I opened the Chase app again. Still restricted. I tried my Fidelity investment account. Same thing. My credit union account. Restricted. Every single account showed the same message. Access limited due to power of attorney authorization. I opened my email next, searching for any electronic communication from David. There from 8 days ago, sent at 2:47 a.m. An email to himself from my account with attachments, scanned documents. I clicked on them. Power of attorney, signed with my signature. Except I didn't sign it. The signature was close, but not quite right. The M in Margaret had a loop that mine didn't. The C in Chen was too angular. I'd been forging documents for prosecution cases for 30 years. I knew a fake when I saw one. "Rebecca." My voice came out hoarse. "I need my phone. It's in my purse in that closet." She retrieved it for me. I dialed my bank's fraud line with shaking fingers. This time, I didn't get disconnected. This time, I spent 90 minutes on the phone with 3 different people, my voice getting stronger with each transfer, explaining that I had never, ever authorized my nephew to access my accounts. "Miss Chen," the fraud investigator finally said, "I'm going to freeze all activity pending investigation. But I have to tell you, as of this morning, there have been significant withdrawals. Your checking account, which showed a balance of $42,312 on the day of your accident, now has a balance of $317. Your savings account has been closed. The funds were transferred to an account under David Chen's name." The room spun. $42,000. My entire liquid savings, built up over a decade of careful budgeting, gone. What about my investment accounts? Those show, let me check. Those show a power of attorney authorization as well, but Fidelity requires in-person verification for large transactions. It doesn't look like anything's been moved there yet. Yet. The word hung in the air like a threat. "Thank you," I managed. "Please freeze everything. I'll be in touch with my attorney." After I hung up, I sat there in that hospital bed, staring at the wall. Rebecca had left to check on another patient. I was alone. My nephew had stolen my life savings, had forged my signature, had moved my furniture, was probably in my apartment right now, taking whatever else he wanted. And he'd done it all while I was lying here helpless, my head too scrambled to even realize what was happening. But here's the thing they didn't know about me. The thing David hadn't counted on. I'd been an accountant for 42 years. I didn't just keep records. I kept backups of my backups. Every single financial document, every receipt, every bank statement from the last 15 years was scanned and saved on my cloud storage. I'd set it up 5 years ago when my friend Margaret, yes, another Margaret, we'd laughed about that, lost everything in a house fire. Insurance covered the house, but she had no proof of what was in it, no records. It took her years to sort out. I'd sworn that would never happen to me. I opened my cloud drive on the iPad. Everything was still there. Thank God David hadn't thought to check my cloud access. I had every bank statement showing my account balances, every tax return, every investment statement. I had photos of every piece of furniture in my apartment, taken just 3 months ago when I'd updated my homeowner's insurance. I had proof. Rebecca, I called when she came back. I need to make another phone call, a long one. Is that okay? She saw something in my face. Of course, honey. Take your time. I called James Burton, my attorney. We'd worked together for 30 years before we both retired. He'd handled Robert's estate when he died. Knew my finances inside and out. Maggie? His voice was surprised. I heard about your accident. How are you feeling? James, I need your help. My nephew has stolen everything. I told him everything. He listened in silence. When I finished, he let out a low whistle. That's elder financial abuse. That's fraud. That's forgery. Maggie, this is criminal. I know. Can you help me? Can I help you? Maggie, I'm going to bury this kid. Do you have documentation? Everything's in my cloud. I'm sending you the link now. Send it. I'll have my paralegal start building the case tonight. And Maggie? Don't tell David, you know. Not yet. Let him think you're still confused. We need to document everything he's doing. He already knows something's wrong. The bank froze the accounts. Good. Let him sweat. I'll file an emergency motion first thing Monday morning. We'll get a restraining order, get you full access back, and I'll personally serve him with papers. After we hung up, I felt something I hadn't felt in 9 days. I felt like myself again, not some confused old woman, not some victim, Margaret Chen, CPA, a woman who'd built a career on making numbers add up and catching people who tried to cheat the system. David had picked the wrong aunt to rob. That night, I barely slept. Not from the concussion. From rage. The next morning, David finally showed up. He looked stressed, tired. There were shadows under his eyes. Aunt Maggie. He tried to smile. Sorry, I haven't been by. Work's been crazy. I played my part. I let my voice shake a little. David, honey, the strangest thing happened. The bank called. They said they froze my accounts? His jaw tightened. They what? I don't understand. They said something about fraud investigation? But that doesn't make sense, does it? You have the power of attorney. You're just helping me pay bills. I watched him carefully. Watched the calculations happening behind his eyes. It's probably just a misunderstanding, he said finally. You know how banks are, always overcautious. I'll go down there Monday and sort it out. Would you? That would be such a relief. My head's still so foggy. I can't think straight. He relaxed a fraction. Of course. Don't worry about anything. I'm taking care of everything. I know you are. I reached out and patted his hand, fighting the urge to pull away. You're such a good boy. Sarah would be so proud. His mother's name made him flinch. Good. He should feel guilty. After he left, Rebecca came in. How you holding up? Rebecca, can I ask you something? The day you saw David with the U-Haul, could you write down exactly what you saw? The date, the time, What he was carrying? She looked at me for a long moment. Then she nodded. I think I know what's going on. And yes, honey, I'll write it all down. I'll even see if we have parking lot security footage. You'd do that? I've been a nurse for 32 years. I've seen this before. Family members taking advantage. It makes me sick. She squeezed my shoulder. You fight him, Maggie. Don't let him get away with it. On Monday, James filed the emergency motion. By Tuesday afternoon, a judge had granted a temporary restraining order. David was barred from accessing any of my accounts, entering my apartment, or coming within 500 feet of me. The police served him at his office. James called me with updates. Maggie, it's worse than we thought. He didn't just take the money. He forged a quitclaim deed on your apartment, tried to transfer the title to himself. My vision went red. My apartment? The county clerk caught it, flagged it as suspicious because you'd owned the property for 10 years and suddenly wanted to sign it over? They called your old number, got your voicemail, left a message, which David probably deleted. Can they reverse it? Already done. The moment we showed them the forged signature analysis, and by the way, I hired the best forensic document examiner in Florida, they voided the deed. But Maggie, there's more. He listed your apartment on Airbnb. Had bookings for the next 3 months. I closed my eyes. He was going to rent out my home while I was in the hospital. Yes. And we found a storage unit he rented under his name. Filled with your furniture, your grandmother's dresser, your Tiffany lamps, your late husband's coin collection, even your mother's china. He was planning to sell it all. I thought I'd been angry before. I was wrong. This was rage, pure and cold. We're getting everything back, James said. The storage company is cooperating fully. They don't want any part of this. And Maggie? The district attorney is very interested in this case. David's looking at multiple felony charges. I was released from the hospital on day 14. James picked me up personally, drove me to my apartment. The police had already removed David's Airbnb lock and reinstalled my old one. Walking into my apartment felt surreal. It was mostly empty, just the couch and the TV and my bed. Everything else, gone. But we got it back. Over the next 2 weeks, piece by piece, it came home. Rebecca had been right about the parking lot footage. The hospital had cameras that showed David making 6 trips with a U-Haul over the course of 9 days. Each trip clearly showed him loading my belongings. The cognitive test came 3 weeks after the accident. The neuropsychologist, Dr. Patel, put me through 3 hours of memory tests, problem-solving exercises, and comprehension assessments. She scored my results while I waited. Miss Chen, she said, looking up with a slight smile. Your cognitive function is not only normal, it's well above average for your age group. There's no evidence of confusion, dementia, or diminished capacity. Your memory is excellent. Whatever your nephew told people about you not being competent, that's demonstrably false. I thanked her and took the written assessment straight to James. The trial was set for 8 months later, but David's attorney reached out within 6 weeks. They wanted to make a deal. He's terrified, James told me over coffee at my kitchen table, which had finally been returned from storage. The DA has him cold on fraud, forgery, elder abuse, theft over $20,000. He's looking at 15 years minimum if this goes to trial. What are they offering? Plea deal. He pleads guilty to all charges. 3 years in prison, 5 years probation after release, full restitution every penny he took, plus 50% penalty. Plus, he pays all your legal fees, all court costs, everything. 3 years. For trying to steal my entire life. Is that enough? I asked. James leaned back. Maggie, I'll support whatever you decide. If you want to take this to trial, we'll win. I guarantee it. But trials take time. They're exhausting. They're expensive, even though we'll get costs back eventually. And there's always a chance, however small, that something goes wrong. A sympathetic jury, a legal technicality. You think I should take the deal. I think you should do what feels right to you. I thought about it for 3 days. I thought about David as a little boy, coming to family dinners, playing in my backyard. I thought about my sister Sarah, who died too young from breast cancer when David was only 16. I thought about the fact that he was all I had left of her. And then I thought about him standing in that hospital room, telling the doctor I had dementia, forging my signature, stealing my dead husband's coin collection, renting out my home to strangers. Take the deal, I told James. David pleaded guilty on a Tuesday in October. I sat in the courtroom and watched him stand before the judge, his voice barely a whisper as he admitted to every charge. He wouldn't look at me. His attorney had asked me to write a victim impact statement. I did. I wrote about trust, about how I'd trusted him because he was family, because he was my sister's son, because I thought blood meant something. I wrote about lying in that hospital bed, confused and hurting, while he systematically dismantled my life. I wrote about the violation of coming home to an empty apartment, about the fear that still woke me up at night. What if I hadn't remembered the cloud backup? What if I hadn't had Rebecca watching? What if I'd really been as confused as he told everyone I was? The judge read my statement aloud. When she finished, she looked at David. "Mr. Chen," she said, her voice hard, "you took advantage of your aunt in her most vulnerable moment. You betrayed family. You forged documents. You lied to institutions. You tried to steal her home, her savings, her belongings. If I could, I'd give you the maximum sentence. As it is, I'm accepting this plea deal, but know that I do so reluctantly. 3 years in state prison, 5 years probation, full restitution, plus 50% penalty, which comes to $63,468. You'll pay that within 6 months of your release or go back to prison. You're also barred from contacting Miss Chen for the rest of your natural life. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor." His voice cracked. "Bailiff, take him into custody." I watched them lead him away in handcuffs. I felt nothing, not satisfaction, not sadness, just empty. James drove me home. At my door, he hesitated. "You did the right thing, Maggie." "Did I?" "He's still my nephew. He stopped being your nephew the moment he forged your signature." After he left, I sat in my apartment fully furnished again, everything back in its place, and I cried. Not for David, for my sister, for the family I thought I had, for the loneliness that was somehow worse now than it had been before. Rebecca called that night. She'd been keeping in touch, checking on me. When I told her about the sentencing, she was quiet for a moment. "Maggie, can I tell you something? My grandmother went through almost the same thing. Her son-in-law took everything while she was recovering from hip surgery. She was too ashamed to fight it, thought people would think she was senile. She died 3 years later, never getting her dignity back. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Be proud. You fought. You won. And you know what? There are probably hundreds of women out there going through the same thing right now, scared, confused, thinking they can't fight back." That conversation stayed with me. 2 months later, I did something I never imagined I'd do. I took the restitution money, $63,000 I never wanted to touch, and I set up a fund, the Margaret Chen Elder Protection Fund. I partnered with a local legal aid society. The fund provides free legal representation and forensic accounting services to elderly victims of financial abuse who can't afford lawyers. James handles the legal side pro bono. I handle the accounting. We've helped 6 families so far. 6 people who thought they were alone, who thought they couldn't fight back, who thought they were too old or too confused or too powerless. We show them they're not. Last week, I got an email from a woman named Dorothy. She's 78. Her grandson tried the exact same thing David did, power of attorney fraud, while she was hospitalized. But Dorothy knew about my fund. She knew she could fight. We're helping her now. She ended her email with, "Thank you for being brave enough to fight. You showed me I could too." I printed that email and put it on my refrigerator. Some days I still get angry. I see families in the grocery store, grandparents with their grandchildren, and I feel that ache of what I lost. The family I thought I had was a lie. But then I think about Rebecca and James and Dr. Patel and all the people who helped me. I think about Dorothy and the 5 others we've helped through the fund. I think about the fact that I'm 72 years old and I use technology to take down someone half my age who thought I was too old, too confused, too weak. I wasn't. I'm not. And neither are you. If you're listening to this and thinking about someone who's done this to you, you can fight back. You can win. You're not alone. That's my story. My nephew tried to erase me, tried to take everything, but I'm still here, still standing, still fighting, and I'm going to keep fighting. Not just for me, but for every person who thinks they're too old, too vulnerable, too late. You're never too late. Trust me. I know.